We live in a world of instant gratification where we expect things to be done quickly without working too hard. Well, these days, my paintings can take a year or more to finish. So the painting that you see here is a painting that I started in video 100 to illustrate reckless abandon, phase one in starting an abstract painting. Well, now it's months later, and I think it actually may be finished. So how do you know when a painting is finished, and how do you get there? Well, I'm going to take you through the process from beginning to what I think might be the end of this painting in this video and talk to you about how you know that you're there and how you get there. Hey everyone, welcome to Whole Artist Mastery. I'm Marianne Mitchell. So, I love sharing my years of experience as a professional artist to help you grow as an artist. So if you like what you see, you can help the Whole Artist Mastery YouTube channel grow by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much. I often wish a painting to be finished, meaning I want to hurry up and be done with it, move on to the next painting, because for me, I'm fully invested in one painting at a time, whereas many artists work on 3 or 4 or 6 at a time. You always see 2 hanging up here because the one to my right is always under construction, and the one to my left is always the one that I'm currently working on. So how you determine that it actually is finished beyond wishing that it is finished is by letting it marinate. Well, what does that mean? Well, you let it sit on your easel or on your wall or on your table for as long as it takes for you to really take it in different moods, in different lights, in different times of day. When you're feeling contemplative, when you have just a split second. And that usually takes several days, sometimes several weeks. Hopefully it doesn't take several months or a year. Although some of my paintings I have a year later gone back into. But this is antithetical to our mindset of let's get it done. Let's have it finished. I need to produce another painting. I need to build a body of work in X amount of time. And that can really detract from the quality of your painting and your own connection with the painting. So as I mentioned before, this painting I started in video 100, so I invite you to go and watch that after you watch this, or pause now and go watch that. And then there are a couple of videos after that that document the continuation of this painting. What I learned after the last video of showing you me painting and talking through where I am with this painting, I realized that what I needed next was to, what you might say, go under. In other words, having to describe my process intellectually was hindering my ability to connect to that deeper place inside me that I really need to go to in order to have the conversation with the painting really kick in, to understand from an intuitive level what the painting is coming to be, and then coming back with my strategic compositional decision-making mind and working the painting back and forth between what do I want this painting to make me feel, and how am I going to achieve that with line, color, shape, value, and texture. So I'm going to show you a photo presentation of the beginning to where I am now, of and walk you through my thinking and feeling process so that you understand how these paintings come about through the 4 phases of making an abstract painting. Here are 10 versions of the painting that I have now titled Silent Brilliance. And so we'll start with day 1. This is Reckless Abandon that I did for you in video 100, starting from the very, very beginning. What does reckless abandon mean? Well, that's when I started with 0% expectation and 100% kindness for what was going to happen and for myself. So this is what came out. And if you're interested in seeing that process, again, you can go to video 100. From there, the next video I did, I brought in some dark. So, and some magenta, pink, and mixing the Prussian blue, which is predominantly the color in the dark color, with the yellow and orange created this green. Now you may be wondering why I did that. Well, as I contemplated my first pass or reckless abandon, I thought, well, I guess I mostly responded to this light orangey yellow area and wanted that to be the central focus at that point. But in this iteration, I really went back with, again, almost 0% expectations without any preconceived notion of what was going to happen. And this is what showed up. So I was feeling the colors as opposed to thinking about what colors I needed. By this time, I started to think a little bit more about what do I want from this piece. And I knew that some part of me really wanted this orangey yellow to be what I call the star of the show. And so I decided to surround that with black, or what I made a black, which is a combination of Prussian blue, dioxazine purple, and orange, about equal parts of cadmium orange, equal parts of all 3 of those colors. So I really liked what showed up here, and this texture here is a result of the texture from previous painting iterations. I think it's probably right in here, you can see. So just a note about how I made this. I used a natural bristle brush, Princeton brush number 20 Bright. A Bright has shorter bristles, so I was able to really push this thick paint around and make this wonderful texture here. I'll go a little closer so you can see, with the Princeton brush Bright number 20 natural bristle. I believe the series is 5400 series. So there you go. We'll go back to where we are here. So I let this sit for a while because I really didn't know what to do next. And so the next iteration, I extended this pink down. You may be wondering why I did that. Well, I felt intuitively that I wanted to have this line come down. Now, I want to make a note here that this is glare over here from my window on the left side of this painting. And so, as you all know, sometimes that's impossible to avoid. But this is black all the way around, just like it is here. I did not touch this part of the painting. I also felt like, well, okay, so if I'm going to bring this down, and I added this line here,
that it felt like it was suspended a little bit without some anchor at the top. Now, I'm not quite sure why I did this, which is less because I forget and more because I think I just did it out of a place of, well, I think it needs a lighter color here. So from there, I went here. So there were several months that went by. Let's see, this is July 23rd, and this is September 13th. So almost 2 months went by before I went back into this painting. And at this point, I had a little more of an objective eye in looking at it. And I decided that this grayish color at the top was too heavy for this. So I came in and put some black up here to create a little more nuance in this gray. And, that was really rather, whoops, I'm trying to get this to get a little closer so you can see in here. That's really cool, in my opinion. And I brought this into the orange, and I really liked that. But I also knew that for what I'm striving to achieve in my work, that this was anything but finished. But I was beginning to feel like there was a conversation emerging between me and what was happening here. So moving on to this one. Well, I felt like this was kind of weird being suspended at the top. And so I brought this line down and this line down and created kind of a structure down here to hold this. And had the black go all the way around. Again, this is lighter than it is in real life because of the glare. So I thought about this for a little while and I thought, I just created a painting called Framing Wonder, which you will see in a moment. And you can also go take a look at my work at mariannemitchell.com to see the whole of the body of my work. So from there, I decided, you know what? I think that this needs a little something down here to hold this. And then, well, this is kind of interesting. And then one day I came in and said, okay, this feels like another box showing up. And so let me break the box here. So I brought this lighter blue over and thought, well, why did I do that? I really didn't like that. I tried to like it. Maybe that sounds familiar to you. So from here, I turned it upside down. I thought, oh, this is a lot more intriguing. And decided that to get rid of this shape here because I really wanted this to be, again, the star of the show. And it always felt a little top heavy having it at the top, which is ultimately why I added this at the bottom. So if we go back here, this felt a little too matchy-matchy, meaning that the dark blue shape was mimicking the orangey yellow shape, almost like yin and yang. And here I felt like this was underdeveloped. And without that bottom, I felt like this was just too top heavy. So here we are. And so from here, I decided to develop it so that ultimately it was a painting that had this at the bottom surrounded by black and dark blue. So this is the final piece, and I titled it again, Silent Brilliance, and I'm letting it marinate for a little while. I did put it on my website, so if you do go take a look at mariannemitchell.com, you'll see it there. But I have been known to take pieces off and work on them again and then put them back on the website. But I'd love to hear your comments about what you think of this process. And I would say that this is the final, at this point, the final version, which I call in the 4 phases of making abstract art resolution. So let me just talk to you a minute about why I think this is resolved. So if we look at diagonal quadrants, upper left, lower right, upper right, lower left, the diagonal quadrants need to be having a conversation. So, and I want to stress that it's quadrants as opposed to corner to corner. So this line here is talking to this line here. And this kind of handling of paint is talking to this kind of handling of paint. Now, if we go in the upper left to the lower right, the orange is opposite the blue, and this bright yellow is showing up a little bit here. And as I look at this, I might need to make this just a little brighter to hold this just a little bit more. Another thing that's showing up here is this convex area here, which means that it's looping out instead of in, although you could see it as looping in. The orange is dipping down, and the dark is surrounding this hump here. But this shape, curve here, is being held by this curve here. It's a little bit of an oblique, little off the beaten track relationship, but there it is. So I hope this illuminates for you how this painting developed.
I really hope this video helped to enlighten you in your own process from beginning to ending in a painting and how going through the 4 phases works for you. So, love to hear your comments. Tell me about your process. Tell me how this may have informed your process. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.